Hi, this is Reverend Yoshida from Soto Mission of Hawaii and also from Kauai Zen Shuji. Today, I would like to share one of my special Dharma talk with everybody here. It's going to be a little bit about the 3/11, the Japan Great East earthquake that happened 10 years ago. And this is a special experience or talk that I wanted to share with everyone. So on March 11, 2011, I was working at Soto Shumucho, which is the administrative headquarters of Soto Zen Buddhism located in Tokyo, Japan, when I experienced a tremendous shake below me. As any of us would do, we all pulled our chairs and ducked under our table as we witnessed the files and books that were coming down from the cabinet and the bookshelf. And we were kind of in this middle of this earthquake, just trying to survive so that we don't have anything falling on our head. And we were praying at the same time because it was such a big shake that the building itself wouldn't be collapsing. And it was an event that was life-changing for me. And I was preparing to get married at the time to my wife, Aika. And we were just about 2 months away from our wedding ceremony. And first thing I did once the shake had calmed down was to take my cell phone and try to contact her. But unfortunately, everywhere throughout Japan, the line was overloaded. So no one could actually call anyone to make sure that your family, your loved ones were even alive right after this whole event of this earthquake. And I just had to trust that she was all right and tended to what I could actually do at where I was, which was to survive for myself. And as we waited for the shake to calm, we turned on the radio and the TV to see what exactly happened. And that was when I saw the tsunami that hit eastern part of Japan right on TV. And to this day, when I close my eyes, I can still see myself and everybody around me at Shumucho just gathering up on this small TV we had, in the office, watching the live news of the tsunami wiping out, engulfing the towns as the cities in Miyagi and Iwate prefectures along the coastlines were buried underwater or either under the fire which had happened throughout the city. And it was a terrifying moment of my life, but also a pivotal moment of experience I had. And few months have passed since then. The count of the missing people had been decreasing, but only to see the count of dead going up. And as Shumucho employee, it was our duty to find out how our temples and members were doing in these areas that were devastated by the earthquake. And as we learned that the situation in the East Japan were not getting any better, electricity, water, gas, all of these were kind of stopped. And other things like, of course, the grocery stores, banks, and other essential businesses that kind of, help each and every one of us to go through our daily life, were also not able to operate for months. And we were given a choice at Shumucho to go to these temples that were suffering from the disaster to deliver the relief fund, and was donated from every part of the country, including the donations that we received from Hawaii. And I'd like to say thank you to all of you who had made the donation at the time. But the main issue was that, unfortunately, all these stores were closed, but at the same time, the banks were closed too. So even if we knew everybody, all the temple's bank accounts, and we could transfer, wire the funds, but there were no way for these people to receive them because there weren't any places they could open the bank account and take out money, and let alone there weren't any places to use the money. So we as a Shumucho, we felt that it was necessary for us to bring hard cash and other essential things to these temples. And that was kind of like the mission that we had. We're trying to go to the countryside to deliver these goods. But, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go. On the TV, tons of news about safety issues and radiations, radiation poisoning was mentioned. And I just got married to my wife, and we were finally together. And I didn't want to risk my own life, and she also didn't want me to risk mine either. And Japan was faced with depression, yet in another, in our home, our little home, we were happy, because we had all that we needed, which was the two of us. So it was a difficult choice for me to accept the task to go on this trip to the east. But at the time, I didn't know what I could do also for those in need of help. As a minister, I was confronted with the pressure that it was my obligation to do something, yet at the same time puzzled, not knowing what I can do and what I should do. And I was also scared to go and help as well, thinking about the radiation, thinking about what if another big earthquake happens just so happen when I'm there. But, after days of thinking, I decided that the chances of something happening again was low, and I had to help those that were in need of help. I read an article on BBC about an elderly movement trying to help the disaster problem. And in this article, an elderly man by the name of Mr. Yamada volunteered to help clean up the radiation. And his comment gave me the courage to think about what I can do. And he said, I'm going to quote, "I am 72, and on average, I probably have 13 to 15 years left to live." He says, "Even if I were exposed to radiation, cancer could take 20 to 30 years or longer to develop. Therefore, us older ones have less chance of getting cancer." And he also commented that let the young rebuild Japan, but let the old clean up the most difficult mess left over from March's devastating earthquake and tsunami. And perhaps I wasn't prepared to dig the radiation dirt, but I realized I can at least deliver goods and relief funds to the people in need of help. These temples were doing their best to serve their own community that was suffering from their loss of loved ones, their homes, and their businesses. I, along with 2 others, went to 5 different temples in Fukushima and Miyagi. Even though it was 3 months after the disaster, the damage it caused was unbelievable. I had seen it on TV, but seeing a land that should have been filled with houses all flat, without any buildings, seeing a fish boat on top of a 2-story high building that were made of high concrete buildings, and a town that had no damage, yet no one was walking around because majority of the people in town had evacuated either because of the tsunami or the radiation, and had me pondered about the meaning of life. And during this earthquake experience and the trip that I took to those prefectures, I learned three things. One, how unexpected can life change in an instant? And two, how helpless and small I was. And three, the greatness of humanness is the act of being able to express compassion to those in need of help. And I'm sure all of us, not the same experience, but during this COVID-19, we kind of had the same kind of feelings for one another, that all of a sudden we lost everything, all the freedoms we had, and how helpless we were, and the kindness that we had received from the community in this struggle. And I realized that we all had a part in this world. Some may say that I am a chicken for not going earlier to help or dig the radiation dirt so that people can return to their homes. But there's always something that I can do to help. The reason why I'm sharing this today is because this year marks the 10th year since the earthquake. And the three prefectures that were affected, Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima, are still fighting strong. Every prefecture still has things that they need to fight for, but listening to the three mayors of the three prefectures, I felt that they are all thinking about the mental health and the well-being of those impacted by the disaster. Japan is now hit even harder than us in terms of the COVID-19, and we might only be a small part in this world. Revisiting my memories of this disaster, I asked myself, what can I do today? Can I do for Hawaii and our representative or respective temples? We all have a part to the story to this temple that we belong to. There are going to be lots of responsibility attached to great change. But I believe that with compassion and the guidance of the teachings of the Shakyamuni Buddha, we can change the temple to fit the needs in the new form or this new norm. I'd like to end the talk with a quote by Stephen Covey, the author of a famous book that you might also maybe have read, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And as he says, look at the word responsibility. Responsibility. The ability to choose your response. Highly proactive people recognize that responsibility. They do not blame circumstances, conditions, or conditioning for their behavior. Their behavior is a product of their own conscious choice based on values rather than a product of their conditions based on feelings. And what I can do for this temple as a minister is going to be different from what you can do as a member. But can I say that we all feel and wish for each of these temples that we belong to thrive instead of to survive? The lesson I learned from the earthquake is that I am too small to do anything on my own, but we can join hands in the hopes of sharing compassion that can make a whole big difference in this world. Each one of us has something unique, and there are so many others who probably don't come to the temple that may have the uniqueness to help the temple. Please share this with your children and friends so that we can take the right action through the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha to help the community of Hawaii. And I just want to leave you with one more thing, is that we are here in this pandemic here in COVID-19 situation. And I think that the end of the tunnel is near. It's been far too long since the beginning, which was almost over a year ago, that we all started to become very quiet in our homes so that we can participate in not spreading the COVID-19 virus, the coronavirus. But as we get closer to the end of the tunnel, and as we all take part in getting this community back, every one of us can take our part. And I know that everyone has their differences and different opinions, whether you feel comfortable and trust the government and other kind of health organization about the vaccines and precautious about, for instance, the CDC. But as we work together, aside from this COVID-19, the temples, I think all of them are also struggling because of, and I know all of us are out there are also struggling, but this is when these temples, the members, and the community should become one and work together so that we can overcome this difficulty. And I'm sure, and I am positive that we're almost there at the end of the tunnel. Perhaps by end of this whole summer season, going into the fall, I hope that we can all have everyone come back to the temple for sure in a safe manner. And we are already doing that here, taking all the precaution of keeping people apart, following the guidelines of the CDC. So, and also doing these online virtual talks or even services at our Betsuin and also Kauai. These are the efforts that we are taking for our members as the temple. And I hope that each one of us can share your own abilities that can be helpful to one another. And if there's anything that the temple can do to support the community or even your family, please feel free to let any of us, the ministers, know. And I'm sure that we, as a together, can reach the end of the tunnel much closer or much faster than we are all anticipating at this point. So once again, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you back at the temple whenever you are comfortable coming back. Thank you.